Hello, and thank you for joining us on this live spiritual news broadcast. First in news, we have Stephen with a spiritual pandemic plaguing the community and ascension symptom updates. To Stephen.
How's it going, everybody? Well, we have a new pandemic that is starting to wreak havoc in the entire spiritual community. It is called crown chakra stuck in root chakra pandemic. Yes, this seems to be actually affecting a wide marginal percentage of the spiritual community. It seems like everybody's just got their crown chakra stuck in their root chakra. And there's many ways that you can actually remove this. Of course, you can sourdough bread is definitely one way to get your crown chakra stuck out of your root chakra. Also ginger bugs. I don't know why ginger bugs, but apparently the new spiritual association of spiritual pandemics and etheric diseases is saying that ginger bugs can actually heal crown chakra stuck in root chakra syndrome. Also inversions. So if any of you guys are yogis out there, inversions are definitely a way to remove your crown from your root chakra. So everybody, let's get our heads out of our asses. So now we have the ascension symptom forecast. Actually, today's ascension symptom comes on the heels of this spiritual pandemic. And we are looking at emotionally purging while emotionally eating, while burning everything down around us, while howling at the moon, even though it is daylight outside. So that's one actually hell of a forecast for today's ascension symptoms. Also, as well, for the next week, you can expect 2 days of burn it down. Yes, so when you get up tomorrow, you are probably going to feel like you want to burn everything down. If you feel this way, I recommend you support your local bank burning. We don't do book burnings in this timeline, but we support bank burnings. So if you wake up tomorrow and feel like you want to burn it down, support your local bank burning. I know at least 3 going on here in Denver, Colorado. It's a fun time. It's a potluck. Everybody brings food. Everybody enjoys themselves as they burn down the local corrupt banking structure. And you're going to get, like I said, about 2 days of burn it down. And then on Tuesday, it looks like you're going to have a fuck it, leave it alone, everything's beautiful kind of day. So you have some sunshine to be looking forward to on Tuesday, and I will hand it back to you, Dyanna.
Perfect. That's an excellent forecast. And thank you so much for being here, Samantha and Kirsten. What do you think that people can look forward to in the week to come, Samantha?
I think we've got a very high chance of nudist showers, but obviously just prepare and go out with an umbrella just to make sure that you don't have, a nudist falling on you as you're out.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm. Beautifully put. And Kirsten, what are your thoughts?
Well, I would have to agree with Stephen about the howling at the moon, even when it's daylight. I think we're going to see a lot of people doing that. Also, there may be people who think you're invisible and just walk right up to you and step on your foot, because that's already happened to me once today, and it looks like that's going to continue.
These are the side effects of vibrating at a higher frequency, guys. People are just going to run into you. Like I said, save the anger about that for your burn it down day, and always head down to your local bank burning.
Absolutely. And I can verify that. I was in Toronto, one of these proposed 15-minute cities, and it felt like I was a character in someone else's story and that I was a ghost and they couldn't even see me. And we're talking a ton of people here. And the amount that energy can affect you is alarming. Like, we are seeing the split happen in literal, we won't be able to take it anymore and have to leave. So this will just continue. But let's dive into our first news clip of the day. And we can unpack that together to give the broader perspective required when we are dealing with all these upcoming information and newses that we seem to have. And so we can get ourselves a proper perspective. Proper, but you're getting 4 different people's opinions here. So let's dive in. And here we go. Do. Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, that was the one. Okay, here we go. I got too many clips open.
Simply by getting a blood transfusion.
That's what a new company called Amber just opened, a new facility right here in the Houston area.
Reka Mudaraj spoke to the founder to find out how young blood works.
It's a controversial startup. Ambrosia is the brainchild of Dr. Jesse Karmazin, and right now there are 5 clinics located across the U.S. Karmazin says 150 people have already gone through the process, and several of them have even done it a second time.
My name is Jesse Karmazin, and as you heard, I'm the founder of Ambrosia. We're a company interested in making you young again.
Dr. Jesse Karmazin believes the fountain of youth is filled with blood, young blood, preferably that of a person under the age of 25.
We know that as you get older, your stem cells aren't replicating as well as when you were young. And this leads to most illnesses.
He explained the science behind it during the Superhuman Summit in 2017.
And when they were sewn together, he found that the old mouse, which received the blood of the young mouse, became young again. So its gray hair turned black. It could remember mazes better. Its heart pumped better. In fact, in every way, it became young again.
If vampires are the first thing that comes to mind, Karmazin, in a phone interview with us, explained the process doesn't involve blood in its entirety, but the white translucent component that remains after white and red blood cells and platelets are removed. The results?
The wrinkles are better. Your skin has a better color to it. And furthermore, on the medical front, we're seeing improvements in patients with symptoms of Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's, diabetes.
And by measuring biomarkers, he told me people have also shown improvements in cholesterol levels and inflammation. There is no published data to prove these claims, although Karmazin says scientific evidence from his clinical trials will soon be available. In the meantime, people continue to sign up for treatments on the company's website, which cost $8,000 for a liter of plasma, $12,000 for 2 liters. Just another sign that the promise of youth is a booming business.
Microphone, Diana. Okay, she got stuck. So real quick, as we were watching this clip, I actually just got a communication from Mahatma Babaji. And as soon as he saw this clip, he radioed to me immediately and said, you need to ditch that timeline and get out of there. But back to Diana.
No, I wanted to hear your thoughts. I'm sad I cut out there. It cut out on just a startled face of yours. Like that just summed that video up so perfectly. Like, oh, like just whoa, because yeah. And like, and is that actually mainstream news? Because that's the question we also have to ask nowadays, because they can fake it being a mainstream news video when it's actually not. But we do know adrenochrome is a very real and deep problem. And it's seeded into so many things the spiritual community needs to unpack, which like Stephen said at the beginning, like having your crown in your root is where those energies go to begin with. So as we awaken, as our spiritual energy comes online, it's first to go into the root. So if your root is filled with holes, sinning, right? If it's filled with those holes, then that's where that energy is going to go. And it goes into dark and insidious places as you go down, because it's repressed in us when it needs to be not repressed, but at the same time purified. So Samantha, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I don't actually have anything hilarious to say about that, because I think
it doesn't have to be hilarious,
really. But you know, it's yeah. I mean, it is funny because it's just slowly taking you there step by step, isn't it, into this kind of dystopian nightmare future timeline, as Steve said. And you know, I actually read about this a little while ago. And they do use plasma and things in treating like blood disorders and cancer. But this is actually getting people, younger people, and harnessing their life force energy, because your blood is your life force energy. It holds all the information. It's got your DNA and everything in there. And I'm just really wondering about the spiritual, you know, implications of this. That's what really worries me. It's like paving the way, you know, and it's like, where does it stop? The slow progression, and you see it's endemic in society. All the inversions that are kind of going on at the moment, they do this. They give you a little bit just to acclimate you to the process, and then they give you a bit more, and then before you know it, everybody's running around worshipping Satan and running around in like the blood of children. So yeah,
exactly. And Kirsten, what are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I'd like to point out that this is a dude who sews live mice together. And that right there is a huge red flag to me. But furthermore, as Sam said, it's like a slow progression. And they didn't really say where they're getting this plasma. You know, people under 25, are they, donating it, or is it being taken from them? And so, I mean, it just raises so many issues, and it is a precursor to introducing adrenochrome and saying, oh yeah, it's okay, it's good, it'll make you younger. The celebrities already use it, and look how great they look.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think they're making this acceptable now, because the reason why they're trying to make it acceptable is because their supply has been drying up. I actually just got word while you guys were talking from Enlightened Donald Trump and his timeline, and he's actually looking through the looking glass right now. And he stated that is exactly what's going on. They are running out of their supply, and this is why they are trying to normalize it so they can continue to increase their supply. And one of the things I wanted to actually this actually brought up a conversation that I had with somebody the other day. This person asked me, because all of the bad things that happen to children in this world, and the young people, and the trafficking and things like that. And she ended up seeing a video of a kid who just got released from trafficking, like begging for food, malnourished, things like this. And she asked me, she goes like, how do you ignore or forget? Or is that what we should do? And I said, no. You don't want to ignore or forget this. You want to acknowledge this is what you have to do. You have to acknowledge that this is an aspect of our reality. What is going on? We have to acknowledge. Now, what we do as a solution is we take action to create a world that doesn't have this anymore in this, that doesn't have adrenochrome, that doesn't have child trafficking. That is the solution. We don't ignore or forget what's going on. We don't even blind ourselves to the very truth. We know there's darkness in this world, and we know that it has to be addressed, and that's the only way to rid ourselves of it. So those are my thoughts there, Dyanna. And hold on. Enlightened Donald Trump says hello to Sam. All right, back to you.
Yes, Enlightened Donald Trump is welcome here anytime.
I'll let him know. I'm sure he'll show up next episode.
I'm sure he'd know all about this as well, connecting to his past other selves that are very much involved with adrenochrome. At the very least, he knows about it. Like, at the very least, he knows about it. And the man drinks a lot of Coke and is pretty healthy, just saying. But onward to new news and different topics, because this one here with the adrenochrome, hopefully we keep finding more out about it, which is awful, but really, yes, because what Steven says is so true. Awareness is key, because that's exactly it. They're trying to normalize it. And in a lot of Asian countries, you can just order adrenochrome products. It's because things are scarier in other places, and we take that for granted in North America. And this is the place where we actually get to perfect, and Sam too in England. I'm sure it's not, that scary there either, but it's getting there because it's creeping that way. But we have an ocean between us. So we get to, us in North America, so we get to see a lot of this horror show. And just, do we want adrenochromes in vending machines where you can just pick up pills? I mean, where's it coming from, right? If they learn to synthesize it, we can have that conversation later, like vegans and created meat. We can have that conversation later, but it's not synthesized. And exactly what Kirsten said, did they even bother asking permission? I highly doubt it. So let's jump to our next video here. And this one is shared from Samantha. And here we go.
You weren't supposed to hear this. Every system has a name. Democracy, socialism, capitalism. But the one you're living in right now, they never told you its name. Because the moment you know it, you'll see every single move they make. They've replaced landowners with armies with algorithms, and the taxes you pay are hidden inside every tap, every swipe, and every decision. They've built something I call technocratic feudalism, and inside it, they run a program called manufactured friction. It's the reason why you're never allowed peace for long. The reason why there's always a crisis, a feud, or a fight. Chaos isn't a mistake. It's the business model. Chaos alone isn't enough. They've turned your life into compliance capitalism.
So I think it froze, but I am actually getting some more information from Enlightened Donald Trump's timeline. He said he viewed the timeline where they had adrenochrome dispensaries.
And if you think this is just your country, you've already lost. Because this is corporate colonialism 2.0. Nations are bought with debt, Governments are just regional offices, and your president isn't the CEO, he's customer service. And at the top, you have a few root access holders. Below them, you have protocol enforcers, and at the bottom is us, end users in the sandbox running side quests while they collect the gold. And here's the part you're not meant to realize. The fight was never between left and right, race and race, man and woman. It is between the owners of the system and everyone trapped inside it. And the moment enough of us stop playing the game, the system collapses. That's why they'll keep you distracted until your last breath. So now you know the name, and you can never unknow it.
Well, that clip should be played every day to remind everyone. But Samantha, what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I forgot to send you that actually. I missed the name of it. Can you remember the name of what he called it? He termed it something, and it cut out when I was making
technocratic feudalism. Technocratic feudalism.
Compliant.
I've never heard of that
capitalism.
before.
I've heard the technocratic future is what they call like the projected tech future. Technocratic is the name I found it on.
Right. Okay. So there's a lot in there, but I think it just surmises how the system's set up, doesn't it? Really, like there's the real people at the top, and then there's the enforcers, like you said, and then there's just like what we call in England the plebs at the bottom. So it's just looking at where power is, and that's what it's kind of saying. And the thing is, we're not victims to this. You know, awareness is your key out. Once you manage to access the information of what's going on around you, and I want to link back into what Steve said earlier about, you know, you don't ignore it. You just don't let it ruin your life. You look at the world around you and you see all the darkness. You see the adrenochrome. You see, you know, the banking system. You see what's in the food. You see, you know, all the corruption, the cronyism, all the rest of it deeply. But you don't let it jade you, because you have to recognize it to evolve. But I think the issue is when people sort of get stuck in this loop where they're just like nihilistic, they're black pilled, they can't see past it. And what we're actually being given is a tool to look at the darkness of humanity and to transmute it with ourselves. So you don't have to cure every single child. You don't have to rescue every single child. You don't have to cure every single illness that's been caused by poor lifestyle or frequencies or whatever's going on from the government. What you have to do is you have to sort your own life out. And this is what this guy is saying. Awareness is key. How can you make changes in your own life? You know, don't get stuck in the black pill mentality. And that's kind of what I want to say about that.
Perfectly put. Stephen, what do you think?
So what I think about this, actually, one of the things he touched on that I really liked is he talked about the manufactured tension. So we know our reality is manufactured. This is why they call it the false matrix reality. This is why we call it societal Maya. It is fake and completely gay. So with that being said, you know, what we're undergoing here, this is actually really big news, because this can help broaden the awareness that you have of the world stage, of the collective consciousness, everything that's going on here. We do have what I would call a collective alchemical process that occurs. We've talked about tension and release. And right now they're talking about the manufactured friction, the manufactured tension, but we have very small release periods. So what they are trying to do is they are trying to rile everybody up. They are trying to keep everybody in this state of tension and friction. And when we are in a state of tension and friction collectively, we lose observation. We become very tethered and attached to the negative polarity emotional state where we're releasing loosh. We're becoming all-you-can-eat buffets for all of the parasitic entities that surround this collective. Apparently they like ketchup on us, from what I heard. I just got that in. Apparently if we start putting ketchup on us, it's easier for them to consume the loosh. But other than that, this is something we have to be aware of, everybody, because we are collectively undergoing a controlled alchemical process that the parasitic class actually tries to manipulate to get certain desired results from us. And I think this video kind of laid that out. Barbecue sauce too, apparently. Barbecue sauce as well.
Absolutely. You could see that because it had sugar,
Stay
and
away
sugar
from the
makes
fucking
it more
mustard.
more permeable to. Kirsten, what are your thoughts?
Well, I was thinking along the same lines as Stephen, because we are, and you know, they have turned us against each other in every possible way. I don't think they could find any other way to turn us against each other, you know, and it's come to the point where a lot of people I know can't even have a conversation with anyone who disagrees with them about anything. And so I see all these people falling into that. And awareness is absolutely key, as both Sam and Stephen said. And as Sam said, you know, don't let it ruin your life, but do know that it's there, because we do need to really recognize it. You can't fix something that you don't recognize. But on the other hand, I would also like to say that I do see in a lot of places people pulling back together and people finding places to unite and to find common ground. And I see that most of the people that I interact with are my yoga students, basically. Those besides you guys. And so I see that with all of these people. I see them forming community and coming together. So it's not even as bleak as it may sound. When I know when you go around in the outside world, a lot of times all you see is that division. But if you look for it, there's very much connection and community going on at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Beautifully put. Yes. And he did, I'll just leave it at that. He did say the more we're aware, the more we're aware. And that's it, because our collective consciousness, our mind power, the all is mind, that mind makes vibrations. All of our thoughts go up into a collective matrix system. Whether or not they have their artificial matrix, they want us in that. There's a natural harmonious matrix that is all of us combined, all of the humans, right? When you come together, you create a powerhouse and it works. The earth would naturally get on board with that. You'd have all the ley lines functioning with you, and all the stargates, like all the things we know of that work within the energy grids of earth would come together in harmony. And what team do you think earth herself is rooting for? So always imagine that. If you're like, oh, but they're so rich and they're so powerful and oh, what do I got? You have earth. You have all of earth behind you. The evidence is just overwhelming that earth herself is calling for this ascension. Earth herself is a guiding force behind this. It's probably her that's ascending, and she's shaking us like fleas, and it's either get on board or get off, is what I've always seen it as. I used to say it's like a shaking. Before the split narrative got really big, I was like, it's a shaking, and you'll either hold on and shake through it, which you can think of as alchemy, or you'll get shaken off. And together we get stronger, right? So why not do it? Now let's move on to our next clip. And this one is from wonderful Kirsten. Yep. This one is actually, I don't know. Let's find out. So what are you seeing there, Kirsten? Bring us the news.
Yeah, okay. So it didn't come with the labeling that was on it when I sent it. So basically this is supposedly the government clearing out a homeless camp in Washington, D.C., so that as Donald Trump comes back to Washington. And what I see is a whole bunch of stuff here. First of all, we don't really know if that's what that really was. I have no idea. There was no way to really identify it. So as with everything on the news, it may or may not be that. It may be something entirely different. But I was immediately struck by how there are so many homeless people. And what are we doing about it? What is the government doing about it? They're just scooping everything up with a bulldozer and throwing it away. You know, and what happened to the people? Where did those people go? And furthermore, Why are those people being allowed to live like that when there are billionaires in the world who have 75 mansions? How is that acceptable? How is that acceptable in any society? It really just kind of hit me what in the heck? And the way that the labeling was that, it was a good thing that we're getting all of this ugliness out of here because, the president's coming back.
Mm-hmm.
We want him to see that.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to have to see these people living like this. Let's just bulldoze them out of here. It's cool.
That's wrong. That's wrong.
And it's petty, I want to say, and immature, because it's not wanting to get in trouble from the boss. Dad's coming, the boss is coming, right? Let's just sweep this problem away and not actually deal with it. And that ends up being when you look at society, a large amount of the issues are laziness, the seeking of convenience. And I just tweeted the other day, and I forget why right now, but it was that usually, and I didn't make this up, I read it long ago, and it's one of those things that stick with you. And that's one of the main things that separates us from our soul is convenience and our constant seeking of convenience, because it's easier, and life is really hard, I'll give you that, but we have to always make sure, I'm all for the easy route, trust me. That's kind of what I try to bring people, is the easiest way to ascend, for real. But you have to go about that still from a place of morality and sovereignty. But even an evil person can be sovereign. So that's where you got to bring in labels like morality. But I agree with you, Kirsten, and absolutely. And just abandoned buildings, around our area, especially when I used to live.
So we'll hold the space for her when she used to live there. Sam, what are your thoughts on this clip before I head to mine?
Oh, that's very gentlemanly of you. Well, there's quite a lot, really. I think going back into what she's saying about convenience, it's just we've pushed into, oh, go on, Dana, you're back.
No, you can carry it on. I got kids here.
Okay. Yeah, so it was just, there's a couple of things. So yeah, you're right, the convenience factor. And I think I feel like it's a symptom of fast living. This is what we do to distract you. It's consume, consume, consume. And in the process of that, we've kind of lost our humanity. Do you not feel? Because there's people out there that are literally on the streets. They have nowhere to live. They're living in suboptimal positions. So suboptimal lives, basically. They can't. They're not given the basic needs. So the basic needs that you need. I learned this at university when I was doing nursing. It's you need shelter, you need food, you need water, it's the safety thing, isn't it? It's all back to that root chakra. And I think once people have pulled their root chakras out of the crown chakras out of the root chakras, they'll probably realize where this has been coming through. It's an inversion in the safety factor that they're experiencing, really. And another symptom that I do really want to touch on as well is aesthetic over morality. That was the big thing that was neon obvious for me. They're more bothered about how things look. I mean, in the UK, they've brought these, it's horrible, really, I'm laughing about it. But in London, because the house prices in London, which is a bit of a joke between me and Kirsten, no one's went on a massive rant about it with one of our guests, then it was the most boring 5 minutes of their life, I'm sure. But yeah. People are homeless. I'm sure it's the same, in big cities. I've heard Chicago and all that kind of stuff. People are pooing on the streets because they've got nowhere to live. And I can see how that's an inconvenience to people. It's not nice. It's not a good way to live. However, this is another thing that needs solution. It needs collective solution. This is where you need to go to the top and say, this is not acceptable. Because like I said, they're doing things in the short term, like a sticking plaster. So they're making benches that people can't sleep on, basically. They're putting spikes under bridges so they can't sleep there, So people have nowhere to go. It's saying your life isn't important if you don't have money. It's monetizing people's lives. And that's the big thing for me. It's saying the value of a human life is less important than the value of the dollar or the pound.
Mm-hmm. Completely agree. And did we get your thoughts yet, Stephen? I don't think so.
No, absolutely no. Not as a actually Washington D.C. area native, I have a lot to say about this clip. So the first thing, yes, I understand the humanitarian aspect of it as well. Of course, due to the way the world is right now, the way it is, we are being crushed with ridiculous inflation. Nothing is affordable anymore. My grocery bill now, just for me, is somewhere toppling around $250 a week, even with just simple things. So, there's definitely a humanitarian crisis going on here in this country, especially. And I agree with all of you. I do. To think just because somebody is not well to do, that does not mean their life does not matter or they are less than us. That is the number one thing. Absolutely. But something I see here, okay, is Trump is using martial law in DC. Okay, so martial law was actually implemented wide scale, and it hasn't not been implemented. Okay, so this is something not been de-implemented, I should say. So this is something everybody should remember. So I believe it was in 2019 to 20 or in through 2020 that martial law was instilled, and it was never taken out of action. So this is something I think we do need to pay attention to on the forefront of a lot of things, because they still haven't taken it out of action. And here's an example of why Trump is doing what he is doing right now. He has thrown the National Guard into DC. He is having a federal takeover of DC. This is martial law in DC. Okay. And at first, they're going after the homeless and the drug addicts, but who's to say who they're going to go after next? So this is something I think that we need to just pay attention to, and we need to channel our focus into creating a world that no longer has this aspect to it. Because since they never de-implemented martial law, they can bring it forth whenever they fucking please at this point. And here is an example of them bringing it forth whenever they please. And then what's going to happen is everybody's going to forget about it. That, he said, Trump, it's like, it's just for 1 month. We're just doing it for 1 month in Washington, D.C. 1 month only. It's understaffed, under budgeted, but still, even after the month goes away, okay, we're still in martial law.
1 month
We
to
might
flatten
not
the curve. Sorry.
What
Right.
did you say?
Yeah.
What did
1
you say,
month
Sam?
to flatten the curve.
Yes,
Yeah.
1 month to flatten the curve. Exactly. So this is something we all need to pay attention to. Martial law was implemented back in 2019 through 2020 because of COVID-19, and it was never de-implemented. And I think it was never de-implemented so they could pull stunts like this. So this is just something that we need to pay attention to. Those are my thoughts exactly about this clip, Diana.
Mhm.
Can I just
Yeah,
jump in?
100%.
Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I just wanted to, yeah, I'm being a bit bossy now, sorry. Yeah, so going back to like the drug thing, I want to just touch on the fentanyl crisis as well, because I think that's by design. And we talk about, yeah, it's great, we're getting all these homeless and drug addicts out of the way. They've done that on purpose. They have fucking done that on purpose, I saw something recently about organ donation and fentanyl. So when you have a fentanyl overdose, you're still alive, you're like basically brain dead, and they can take your organs. And there's been a real big push for this recently, and it's a bit of a rabbit hole I think I'm going to actually go and have a little bit of a deep dive into. But yeah, I think when you start to dehumanize people, the drug addicts, the homeless, you stigmatize them, and going back to this dehumanization again, they don't matter. But what people forget is, anybody could be homeless. I remember my English teacher when I was in school. We have a thing in England called the Big Issue, and you'd buy it. Homeless people. It's an incentive for homeless people basically to make money, because obviously another thing is homeless people don't have addresses, they don't have bank accounts, they can't claim benefits because they've got no fixed address. So once you're out of the system, you are fucking out basically. And this is another thing. So they can then say, these people don't matter. Where do they all go? Do they take their organs? Do they overdose in fentanyl? Who knows? It's just we talk about the children, but what about the adults as well? Everybody's vulnerable.
100%.
Can
Go
I
ahead.
add something real quick, Diana? So one thing I do want to say is I completely agree with Sam. I do think the fentanyl epidemic is a population control experiment. Most certainly. Why would we be releasing drugs that are 50 to 100 times more potent then diacetylmorphine, which is heroin, into the streets. And we also have the nitazines that have just entered, which are large animal tranquilizers. Okay, large animal tranquilizers. The nitazines are meant to tranquilize tigers. They're meant to tranquilize rhinoceroses. They're meant to tranquilize hippos, these large animals. Okay, so why do we have drugs that are meant to take down hippos being passed out on the street and being used recreationally? I think that's a huge freaking red flag that we're dealing with a population control experiment. This has been purposefully done. So, I mean, you have to think, if something is strong enough to take down a tiger, which weighs about 800 to 900 pounds, what's it going to do to your average drug addict human who could be ranging anywhere from 120 to 160 pounds? It's going to kill them. And if they don't die, they are going to be developing a serious addiction to a large animal tranquilizer. That's what I wanted to add about that, because I think that flies under a lot of people's radars, that we have large animal tranquilizers being out on the streets, being labeled as recreational drugs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that makes it go down. Yeah.
No, I agree. And it shows to like out, because it's us too, right? Like us, not that we're doing the animal tranquilizers, but like regular society too has that need. They have that hole. That's like the whole energy thing, holes. You don't want holes, because when there's a hole and then someone comes along with a need, you're going to want to fill the hole with the need. And then to Sam's point earlier about the organ harvesting, that's actually that has tangible proof. My husband's a nurse, and I say this all the time, and he's usually like not conspiracy theory. So he is like actual evident, like he's seen it happen, where if you're an organ donor, they're not going to try as hard. Like if you're a certified organ donor, they're not going to try as hard because they want your organs. Because I was going to do the organ donating thing, and he's like, no, he's like, it's a real thing. That's it. They won't try anything extra for you. So that's very interesting. Like they want our adrenochrome and our organs. It's just, wow.
We're actual cattle. That's what we are.
Yeah, it's true.
Beautiful. Okay, next clip time. But awareness is key, people. If ever anything gets daunting, and this is why we like mixing in the fun, because alchemy is the both. It's the fire, and that fire you kind of have to be raw and like yeah about it, because that's what this trip really is. And when we stay aware, we stay sovereign. Okay.
Manual driving will be treated like smoking. Regulations will stack against you. Urban bans on human driving. Car culture will shrink but not die. Narrative manipulation will play a role. Think about that. So it's for your own good. You know, we're keeping everybody safe. That's why you aren't allowed to drive your car. Of course, they'll be able to restrict your freedom too, right, Sean? I mean, they'll be able to say where you can go and when you can go there. And it's like, oh, you know, I want to go take a nice trip with the family and go past Area 51 and check out Roswell, and say, nope, forbidden area, you can't go there, sorry. And it takes you on another route. Manual driving will be treated.
Yeah, I agree. And that clip there is from Samantha, but I extremely agree. Let's jump to Stephen. What are your thoughts there on that manual driving versus the tyranny that could come with auto driving?
So here's my thought. This is what they do. They run smear campaigns and they get the public on board. And actually, one thing I want to take everybody back to is actually what happened, how the dollar got implemented. I don't see the financial collapse everybody talks about is the Great Depression, but there was actually a financial collapse that happened in the late 1800s, early 1900s, which was a great inflation. And so what ended up happening in this incident is there was too many dollars. The value of the dollar went down. People were shoving dollars into storm drains. So everything went back to gold and silver. And then what happened is the Federal Reserve was implemented here in the United States in the 1910s, the 19 teens in that area. And then what happened is a smear campaign began against people who were using gold and silver. Anytime you would try to go somewhere and pay for gold and silver, they'd call you a hick. They'd call you a redneck. Why are you still paying with gold and silver and you're not paying with dollar receipts? And then it evolved. So I don't know if you guys remember the commercials from the 90s where people had credit cards, right? And they would show people in the line swiping the credit card, and then the one person with cash would come along, and then everybody in the line would look at them like they were irritated because they were paying with cash, and to smear against cash in order to move us into a cashless society. Okay, and now there's places now that won't even accept cash. I've been to some places out here in Colorado that don't even accept cash. So this is what they do to get you to go along with their narrative, is they use propaganda to smear a certain current habit that humanity might have and make you feel like it's wrong in order to get you on board with their narrative, their plans, what they are trying to do. So they don't want you driving your vehicle so you don't have any more autonomy. You don't have any more freedom. Freedom of movement is a very spiritual thing. Freedom in general is a very spiritual thing. And if you think otherwise, I really want you to go deep within yourself and really talk to your innate nature. And I guarantee you the divine is going to tell you that freedom is a very spiritual thing, and you need to maintain that. So this is just an example of what I'm seeing. They're already trying to smear us into a cashless society by now implementing places that don't accept cash at all. They give you whatever excuse in the world. Oh, we don't want to handle the bank transactions, whatever. But a lot of people forget that it's actually illegal in the United States of America for an establishment to not take cash. It's actually illegal. So these people are actually operating outside of the confines of American law by doing this, but it is being they're looking away from it because this goes along with the narrative that they're trying to perpetuate and portray for us to move into. So I see the very same thing happening with the vehicles. It's going to get to a point where they don't want us even having vehicles at all. At first, it's going to be they're going to smear gas vehicles, which they've been doing, and they're going to smear self-driving vehicles, and then they're going to move you into self-driving or auto-driving electrical vehicles. But then they're going to be like, oh, there's something wrong with the auto-electric driving vehicles now, and we don't want you having vehicles at all. This all just rings true of Agenda 2030, and this is why we need to stop putting our focus into the false matrix reality and start putting our focus into the new earth frequency, because this is exactly what they're trying to pull. So I just wanted to throw that little bit of history in there because this is their maneuver. They run smear campaigns on this stuff. And yes, of course, there are people who are going to buy it. Of course, we have the super progressives who just roll over and take it from the government with no problem, without lube, during every single incident here in the United States of America. And we know that those super progressives who like getting bent over without lube are going to be the ones that bring this into fruition, because they like to lie to us and make us think that the super progressives are a majority of the population here, but they are not. They are actually a minority of the population here. So this is what I see, guys, and those are my thoughts.
Kirsten, what are your thoughts?
Well, I agree with Stephen. I see that too. I did want to say the thing that always gets me when I see these people saying they will do this, they will do this, they will do this over and over and over again, that's actually feeding that into happening.
The revelation of the method.
Whenever I see that, whenever I see that, I'm like, no, that's the first thing I see, because I see this all over the place. And even people who think they're helping are saying they will do this. And the truth is that, yes, they want to do this. They're going to attempt to do this. But again, it all has to do with whether we accept it or not. And I think that's really important to always consider, because the thing about the future is that it's not set in stone, and that anything can happen in the future. It's not, if you're a psychic, you might be able to access different timelines and see, well, what trajectory are we on today? And maybe we're on that trajectory, but, it's a choice to step off of that trajectory. So I would say, whenever you see stuff like that, there also is an element of spell casting going on with that. And we really need to be aware of that. And so when you see that stuff, well, not in my timeline. And the thing is, even if it happens, in your timeline. You still don't have to acquiesce. You still don't have to go along with the crowd. So those are my thoughts.
Exactly. Beautifully put. And we'll have to make those decisions as they come. Like as they're rolling over into electric, we talked about buying electric, but we actually bought gas because we're like, you know what? Not down for the agenda. So we got a gas one again. And for trailer pulling reasons, but still. But even when it comes to this, if you want to have that authority, and if you never want to hand that total power over to the government, because I wouldn't put it past them to be able to like, oh, you can't go there and done, right? If there's traffic, they'll paint it as that, oh, it'll make your life easier because when there's traffic, we'll just program it in and it'll be done, right? But then little by little by little, that's how they squeak through. So like if ever given the choice, I'm fine for like a little bit of auto, but like keep a partial manual if you could, like when you are handed those choice points, or keep full manual the whole time, whatever you want. But like when we're handed those choice points, like Kirsten was saying, we can see the timelines and we think our thoughts, but it usually ends up coming to us in our choice points. Like Sam has a pretty major one now, like with what's going on with England and the driver's licenses and the cameras that are going on in England. So like choice points, right? We're handed them and we have to choose. But Samantha, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. I was laughing at Don's comments. Actually, he was on about this.
Same here. I'm trying to like it.
Yeah, the self-driving, definitely sex robots. I mean, it's a possibility. Absolutely. So the big thing is, if you're not in control of your vehicle, you're not in control, are you? That's the thing. And I mean, I'm a bit of a control freak personally. I like to know it's a freedom thing, like you were saying before, Stephen. It's autonomy, it's sovereignty. When you are not given the choice to make your own decision, you know, I find that like fucking frightening, actually. It's like one of my biggest fears. That's one of the reasons why I'm like, is England really the place for me? But I mean, going back into this Agenda 30 and whatnot, I go about the lockstep all the time, and it's another lockstep control structure, basically. And what this, tying to what Kirsten was saying, it's almost like, because there's a wider clip of this, and it's from AI. So somebody'd asked AI, what's the future going to look like? And this was a section of it. And it's like, how the fuck does AI know what the future's going to say? And what's going on with the AI? Who's feeding it this information? Why would it even say this? What is the agenda behind it? And all these questions. And you just think it's trying to shape the future. Because once you've implanted the idea and it's spread and people accept it, they co-create that reality. You know, it's just one of the things, because we're a collective human species and we're all sharing this reality and we're all co-creating it together. So this is the thing, you see, you have to really be informed. And this is why there's this big push for people. And I think that was why, you know, COVID was so important, because it made people realize how much power they've actually got when they start to say no, when they start to see the truth behind things. And they take control of their lives, because that's what it is. Just don't acquiesce. Like you were saying, Dyanna, you got, you know, an electric one. They're trying to make it illegal to buy petrol cars, and it all ties back into this climate change agenda. We did an episode, I think it might have been the spiritual news last time, and YouTube had put a little thing under the clip saying about climate change, and like climate change is a real thing or something along those lines, because we discussed how real climate change actually was. Do you know, it's all tying into this narrative, and it all goes back to sovereignty, essentially. What are you going to do? Like, use money or lose it? Buy petrol cars, you know. And another thing that the big question for me was, look at Saudi Arabia. Their biggest, you know, money making export is oil. What have they got to say about this? You know. Mm-hmm. So is there going to be some sort of Middle East war? Is there a covert war going on already? And we can see the signs if you know where to look. And that's something that I would propose, really, because there's always a power struggle, and it kind of takes me back to that. There's a couple of people at the top. There's just a couple of people at the top of the world, and they pull the strings. So they're not bothered if the Saudis get pissed off and they've no longer got all the money for oil. You know, actually, there's free technology out. There's free energy technology. You did a show on it, Stephen, didn't you? They had cars that converted water into hydrogen years and years ago. What happened to that? It was proven. If they want you to be sovereign, they'd have let you, but they suppress all this technology. You don't even need electric cars. And I know Spinger's on about the exploding batteries. When you look at the lithium fields, that's so environmentally toxic. Lithium is fucking awful for the environment. Not to mention the people that are mining it, you know, poor kids and stuff. Look at that. You know, nobody's bothered about the poor kids as long as, you know, they feel like, you know, they've done something for the environment and they feel really good about themselves and they're, you know, showboating how great they are. No, it's all a lie. Anyway, I'll shut up now because I'm going on a massive rant.
No, that's perfect. And that's exactly it. And I've actually thought similar thoughts, like, because electric's not the answer. Gas isn't the answer either. Gas is not perfect by any stretch of the means, but electric isn't the better answer. There's been many things that show, like, where's that hydro coming from? Like, there's all these, but anyways, I would, if they come out with like some kind of actual Tesla machine that's like just a continuous energy source in the car, then I'll get that new version of the car, like something that is for our better good, not just different because of the narratives they're spinning, because that's all they ever do is spin narratives over and over and over again. And just awareness. I mean, you'll hear this a lot, I guess, probably in this show, awareness, because that's everything right now. So let's jump into our... Oh, go ahead,
Can
Stephen.
I just say, let me just say one thing real quick. Actually, the way that you could technically have a Tesla run off of vacuum energy is if you could somehow manage. Now, when I had Spencer on from Limited Potential Technologies, he told me that in a lithium or lead acid battery, how you access the 0-point field is a high voltage spike into that battery. It has to be a quick high voltage spike. So let's say theoretically Tesla, they have their battery. And what they could do is when the car comes to a complete stop, they could have an alternator that goes the opposite direction that sends a high voltage spike into that battery. And you could actually theoretically recharge the battery of your vehicle on vacuum or 0-point energy. That's just something I wanted to add in there.
No, that's a good point to add. Yeah, exactly. Something like that. Something that's self-sustaining and not continuing to take from an outside source. So that's perfect. Okay, now let's see. Our next clip is probably one of the ones, yeah, I found. So here we go.
All right. So your nose, it's not just for smelling candles and judging people's hygiene. It is actually a remote control for your nervous system. Blew my mind, learned about this a little while back, and I want to share it with you because it's been super, super helpful for me. So here's how it works. Each nostril connects to a different side of your brain, and your brain controls your entire mood, focus, energy, everything. Your left nostril connects to your right brain, which is the side processes emotion, intuition, calm. So when you breathe through your left nostril only, you're going to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is rest and digest mode. Your heart rate's going to slow, cortisol's going to drop. You're going to stop planning hypothetical arguments with people from 2009. Now, on the flip side, the right nostril connects to your left brain, which is logic, focus, action. You breathe through your right nostril only, and boom, you're going to wake up the sympathetic nervous system, aka get stuff done mode. Your heart rate's going to go up, blood flow's going to increase to your muscles, and your brain's going to finally remember how to do your taxes. And what's wild, this is called nasal cycle modulation. Our bodies are actually switching nostril dominance every few hours to keep us balanced. But here's the thing, we can override that manually with our thumbs. It's like a medieval brain hack. So yeah, you got a built-in mood switch on your face. No app, no supplements, just vibes and anatomy. So save this for the next time your nervous system feels like dial-up internet.
So, Stephen, I figured you'd like that one. And Sam, actually, and Kirsten, you guys all do Kriya. I'm the only one that doesn't like it. So you guys lead the way. Let's start with Kirsten. What do you think on that video? And I just loved it.
I love that video. I actually reposted it earlier in the week. I think it's perfect. And I hate to, I don't want to steal everyone's thunder because I know we all know this. But the balancing breath, which is a very basic pranayama technique, breath control technique. You cover one nostril, inhale, cover the other one, exhale, inhale, switch, exhale. I teach this a lot in my classes, and that balances it. And that actually connects both sides of your brain when you do that. So that's really good. But it's absolutely, you know, and I think most people go into their are mostly in their sympathetic nervous system, and society is set up that way. Stress, 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 stress. So when you're under stress, you're always in your sympathetic nervous system, which is fight or flight. And it's okay if you have to run away from a tiger or if you have to kick someone's teeth down their throat. However, sorry, I had to throw that in. However, most of the time,
really could.
when we're in stress, we're not actually having to do anything like that. And that gives us an overload, and it creates a what is that? Adrenal fatigue. So yeah. So honestly, most people probably need to breathe more through their right nostril just to get back into that parasympathetic nervous system. But I'll throw it to everybody else because I could go on for, you know, an hour about that.
Yeah, Sam, what are your thoughts there on what she said? Because I know you're the newer one to the Kriya, right? And you said it's been changing your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Bit of pranayama does wonders, doesn't it? Yeah, so it calms you down. I can only go from experience, and we call it the HPX axis dysfunction. I think now I can't remember the exact term because they don't actually think the medical community that is that adrenal fatigue is a real thing because it really is. So I've talked openly about experiencing chronic fatigue, and part of the issue with that it can be exacerbated by stress. Long-term stress, so it's to do with your adrenals basically, and cortisol, and then you have all the inflammation, and it's not just one system. It's like because your whole nervous system and your digestive system and all the rest of it and your endocrine system, they're all closed loops and they're all kind of interconnected. So when one really seriously goes wrong with one, it affects the whole system. So this is the kind of thing that you want to be doing to start healing yourself. So I've been doing Kriya yoga properly since probably about February, and it's absolutely revolutionized my life, I'll be honest. And a cool part of that is thank you, Steve, for putting me onto that.
Of course.
Yeah, he did. He was like, do Kriya yoga, and I was like, shut up, Steve, it's not that good. And he's like, it is. And I'm like, no, it's not. And he's like, do it. And then it's like, fucking hell, Kriya yoga's amazing. Yeah. That's pretty much how it went. Yeah. So the thing is, once you've got a practice and you're doing something like that with pranayama, it will change your life. It will regulate your nervous system. It will make you feel more in control of what you're doing. You won't feel as overwhelmed. I'm not saying you're never going to feel overwhelmed because we've all been to the supermarket and want to punch that man behind us who's been a complete cunt. Sorry, I said it. I'm British. I'm allowed. But you know, it's just basically getting control of your life, isn't it, really? And I just want to briefly touch on one thing before I hand it over to Steve and Dyanna. What it does is as well, like we're talking about the left and the right brain. When you're going into like an altered state, if you're doing any kind of like psychic work or remote viewing or anything, it's called hemisync. So that's probably going to help with that as well, because you want to unify both sides of the brain. So you're getting into those like theta brainwave states. And if you do that with like binaural beats, you can do the same sort of thing. But yeah, that's
That's exactly how I thought of it too.
Don's laughing. Why are you laughing, Don?
Don's always laughing.
Go on.
I love both of you guys, of what both of you guys said. I think is awesome. And what this shows is, and I've actually begun to kind of use this term to describe Kundalini and Kriya Yoga and what they both do. What we have is an ancient healing technology for the human body, right? And this is exactly what it is. We have seen through these practices that there are certain breathing patterns, there are certain movement patterns, there are certain angles that we hold our body at with these movement and breathing patterns that actually stabilize and balance not just our physical systems, but our energetic systems as well. So what she was talking about in this video is absolutely right. This is what I notice even myself, that in the morning, I'm very right nostril dominant. But as I start going into the evening, that headphone has had a really bad habit of falling out lately. But as I go into the evening, I notice that I am left nostril dominant. So the brain does regulate, but these movements and these actions and these angles, they activate systems and they balance systems in our body that not only contribute to physical and mental longevity, but also energetic longevity in our bodies as well. And so this is why they say these techniques are taboo, and that's why they say there's this air of mystery or this air of like, whoa, Kundalini yoga, like I hear that's powerful. Absolutely it is, because it fucking works. And if everybody started doing this stuff, the need for the physical healthcare system and the mental healthcare system as we know it would just cease to be. There would be nothing there for anybody to use, because we'd all just be practically healing and balancing ourselves on a consistent basis. So absolutely, as simple things as just breathing through a certain nostril, as simple things as even just twisting your body a little bit to open up the spinal column and working with the spine. And these things do magnificent acts to the body, and this is why they should not be discounted. And that's why, Sam was giving me a little bit of crap there in the beginning on how I was telling her Kriya yoga, Kriya yoga, Kriya yoga, but you just heard her. You just heard what she said. So, and Kirsten's been doing it too. And we will get Dyanna on board. We're going to get her on slowly. I'm just going to have her hold her void holds for like 2 minutes at a time. She'll be okay. And
it's doing this as you're doing breathing stuff. I'm like, I start to panic. I'm like, I'm suffocating.
no, it is, well, because that's what it does. Well, what it does too is
some without the arms. I'll do it.
it heals you in that sense, because what it's also doing though is it's putting you in that controlled trauma response state. You are basically undergoing a trauma response in a controlled environment that, so you can handle it because you're in this controlled environment experiencing this. And what this does is it releases all of the trauma from your fascia in your body, and this is where we store the energetic effects of the trauma and all of the bad stuff that we go through in life. So absolutely, it's going to help release that too. So no, she's dead on. I liked that clip. I actually really enjoyed that, and more people need to start doing it and digging into this, because one of the biggest lies that we've been told here is that our health is too complex for us to handle. It is absolutely not. Our health is very simple and we can handle it on our own. And here's a prime example of that.
Yeah, and it's complex but simple at the same time. When you look at all the micro, it can look complex, but when you understand the macro, it's actually very simple. And I'm all for breathing exercises though. And so because I understand the hemi-syncing between the nostrils, and just deep breathing in itself is a true lifesaver, because I can make excuses for not doing this because it makes me scared. I don't know, my trauma, but I can't make excuses for just sitting here and going, because that hurts nothing. It's so easy. And then just add a little thumbage and go back and forth and you're good. Because the simpler you can make it, especially when you're first starting out and you're panicking and you're not used to being calm. That was my thing. I was a panicker. I was a chronic freaker outer. Everything was a huge deal. But when I learned to just deep breathe, my life could actually start beginning, because I could get past all the base elements of life and start moving forward because of mainly deep breathing. There's lots of things, positive awakening happening at the time, but deep breathing is the one thing I'm like, that's the thing that if I never did, nothing would have equaled the same, It's that powerful. Okay, so our next clip. Oh, no, that's her. I didn't exit her. Okay, so we have the one more, and then we'll end it here. Kirsten had one with Trump and Putin, but I accidentally exited it. Was that just about their recent visit that they did together? And all you could see was, the ring Melania got. But what was that, Kirsten?
Yes. Well, yeah, it was about their visit. And, I didn't know anything about that even, because I have not watched the news at all. And I put it in for Stephen because I thought he'd like to see Trump. But the thing I noticed about that was that the newscaster was setting it up. And, probably, the way I feel about politics is that it's just fake, fake, fake. I think these people are actors. They don't have any power. They're, as was it Stephen who said this just a little while ago? They're like the sales. Oh no, it was in that video. They're the salesperson for whatever the people who are actually in power are planning. But the way I noticed it was the newscaster set it up like a professional wrestling match, and we've got the bad guy over here, and we've got the good guy over here, and strangely enough, because the last time I saw the news, Trump was always on the bad guy, but today, now he's the good guy. He's the good guy over here. And then we've got Putin. And she basically said everything Putin said was very unclear. Oh, you got it going? Okay.
Yeah, I grabbed it while you were talking because that actually sounded good. And you've lined it up for us. So now we know what to look for because that's actually great. And we should see the falsity in the way they talk and how they're like trying to brainwash us.
Anchorage last.
Yeah.
President Donald Trump addressed the press, but didn't take a single question. President Putin spoke first, and he talked about getting back to a more pragmatic, business-like relationship with Washington, said Ukraine was just one of the issues that was discussed, but gave unspecified details of what he called agreements that were reached. President Trump, though, was crystal clear. There's no deal until there's a deal. And he said he's going to be getting on the phone with his European and NATO counterparts, as well as, most importantly, President Volodymyr Zelensky. At the end of his remarks, President Putin turned to President Trump in English and said,
next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one. No. I'll get a little heat on that one, but I could see it possibly happening.
President Putin had literally the red carpet rolled out for him today. It remains to be seen what President Trump has gotten out of it. Here on the stage at Anchorage Live.
Yeah, because go ahead, carry on.
No, so what I wanted to say too is the way they set it up, they've got the bad guy, they've got the good guy. I don't speak Russian anyway. I don't know what Putin said. And furthermore, neither one of them actually spoke in that clip. The newscaster told us what they said and interpreted it for us. So again, it's that trying to brainwash us and telling, I mean, they could stick any dude up there and he could speak in some foreign language that I don't know and then say, this is what he said. I wouldn't know the difference. And for that matter, they can put two people up there and say, this is what they said. And we never heard them say anything. So that was just my point with that. So I'm going to throw it to you guys.
I hate that. No, that's perfect. And that's I hate that about regular news. They'll show you it as B-roll as they talk over it and tell you what you should think and see. And yes, we're doing that now ourselves. We're not talking over it. This is long format podcasting. We show the entire clip and then we discuss it because it is fine to discuss it, but you don't talk over the clip and tell people what they're seeing when you could just take clips of them talking and splice it together to get the facts out there. And you could honestly even diddle with that, but at least that's a little closer. These voiceovers, as I hate, that's all the regular news is filled with, and I can't stand it. But what are your thoughts, Sam?
I mean, I think Donald Trump's quite a tall chap, isn't he? Really, that's what I was thinking about. Bloody hell, he's like a bloody giant compared to Vladimir Putin. That was me. Donald, yeah. I live in a small cave in England. I've got a dug and some rocks, and I paint on the wall. I just kind of what you were saying, Dyanna. It's like, why are they telling you what to think? You know, it's like this is what's going on, and this is what they're doing, and it's like, is it really though? And the news, just to go, I'm gonna have a bit of a whinge about. Sorry, my dog's being really naughty. Just have a whinge about the news. She's under the table and she's like, "We're having a party, Mama." And I'm like,
"That's why you see my camera switching off because they're barking at the wind." So yeah.
I want to make, we need to make like a band called that, Barking at the Wind. I think that'd be amazing. We'll have to go see Barking at the Wind, and it's just loads of dogs with tambourines. Yeah, so that interesting intermission. Back to the studio. No, so I've lost my fucking thread now. This is what happens. I've been on a raw vegan diet for 2 days. I've only had like fruit and vegetables, and it sent me a bit. I'm either cranky or like off my head on sugar, like strawberry sugar, not actual real sugar. Yeah. So that was what I was going to say. Fuck me. Sorry, the dog's back. Just somebody talk because I can't cope. Go on.
All right.
Kirsten.
The one thing,
Stephen. Somebody talk about the orange man. Yeah.
the one
ahead,
thing I want to
Steven.
say about this is, again, I agree with everything that you're saying. They don't call it political theater for no reason. And yes, that's exactly what the news is doing. It's telling you what to think. It's not giving you the objective information and allowing you to decide for yourself. This all thrives off of our focus and attention, guys. This whole false matrix system. And that's why, I even did a show back that attention is the new currency nowadays. And it is. Whatever drives focus collects energy, and whatever collects energy gets stronger and grows. So if we all just decided we didn't want to participate and give this system the focus and the energy that makes it grow and get stronger, what does everybody think that's going to happen? It's going to dwindle. It's going to fall. And this is why even just outside the media, on my show last Wednesday, I was talking about we need to stop falling for these viral psyops. And I saw Don said he's going to scope FB for some swings. So that's the new word or term for Sydney Sweeney memes. So I'm just bringing that in a thing. But again, we even have people in our community that are getting roped back into this. And you should not be getting roped back into this. You should be taking that focus and energy and putting it towards the new earth frequency. And, one of the biggest things everybody says, so what, are we not allowed to laugh? Are we not allowed to do this? No, of course you're allowed to laugh. You can laugh at it in passing. You can glance at it and think it's funny. It's when you become so absorbed that all you do is post memes about the psyop for the next 2 to 3 months, and it's all that you talk about. That is when you are taking it to the next level and you are giving it focus and energy and letting it grow. So ultimately what we need to do, the solution is, and it's very simple. Of course, not everybody is going to be on board just yet. I think we have a little bit of time. Wait. Enlightened Trump said that we actually have a lot of time till everybody's on board, but that's okay. But this is what we need to do, guys. We need to stop watching this shit, because all this is doing is, it's just like even what Kirsten was saying earlier. They will do this. They will do this. No, they ain't going to do shit if we have anything to say about it. And that's ultimately what we need to start understanding, guys. Our collective consciousness is what creates this reality. It's what manifests this reality. And so far, we've done a fantastic job by giving them exactly what they want. So from now on, I say what we do is we stop giving them exactly what they want, and we start to fight back. And that's how we fight back. This is a siege, not an ambush. We are not doing this in the sense of the French Revolution. We are doing this in a siege-like way. And this is why we need to stop.
Yeah, do it by a guillotine.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. No, go ahead. I'm done. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Yeah.
No, it's just, we're not going all French and going to go El Guillotino, whatever they say. It's not actually what they say, but
we're not cottaging.
that's probably what the Mexicans say. El Guillotino. You are.
With God, you don't have to watch that shit. I mean, that was the first news clip I've watched in years, and I was just like, oh well, I guess the narrative has changed now. But
Who's Sydney Sweeney? Yeah. Seriously, who is this woman?
I do want I'll do the rundown. I'll do the rundown. She's an actress here in America. She's a U.S. actress. She's a Hollywood. She's a part of the college too. She's in with the Parasite class, and there's lots of photos of her doing this, and lots of photos of her doing this, and all of that kind of stuff.
Do you think they do that on purpose, though, to troll us?
I think yes. I do. Yes, absolutely. They're doing that to troll us. But the thing about her that's got everybody up in arms right now is that she's a petite, well-endowed, blonde-haired, blue-eyed female, and that she was put on the cover, or she was put in an ad for American Eagle jeans, and it says she has great genes. Now, it didn't say Genes, it said Jeans, like jeans. But of course, the victim mentality of the American woke left. They can't bear to see a healthy person actually being in a clothing ad. They for some reason it just drives them nuts. Apparently there's a WNBA star that came out too, because who cares about them, it seems like, unfortunately, that came out and said that we should boycott American Eagle because they're white supremacists. And, you know, and my whole thing, I even I'll just imbibe on this for a second, is for the past, I'm even going to go along to say 7 to 8 years, every single ad that you've seen has had somebody of color in it, or has had somebody that's not super slim, or has had somebody that's in the alternative lifestyle compartment, whether it be gay or lesbian or whatever it may be. Okay. And then just one ad comes along that doesn't include that, and you see the uproar. This is definitely a psyop, guys. This was done on purpose. They know the playing field. Okay. They know how the left, the American left, wears the victimhood garment all over them all of the time. And I bash the right too. Trust me, they're a bunch of brainwashed simps themselves. So you can bet on that, because they just allowed the Trump administration to lie to them, and they still said they're going to believe the Trump administration even though that they lied to them. So both the right and the left have their fucking problems here in this country. But that's the rundown on Sydney.
Oh God. Somebody's put him in the fucking state box to the right and the left. There he goes again. That's what it was just like. I'm glad you stuck. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I am just winding you up. It's like the left and the right. It's all just a lie. It's just, yeah.
It is a lie. I should get back on my roof with my megaphone. Do you know there's fluoride in your water? Why do you still follow the left-right paradigm? Just as people walk down the street. Do you know our currency is fake? All of that.
You've got good genes. No, I mean, not too much. I'm not looking at your bum. Yeah, that's what it is.
Sorry about Sydney Sweeney. Stop listening to her. But anyway, you know, it is, man. So like, that's, I mean, this is what they do when they have something going on that they don't want you to know about and they don't want you to pay attention to. I mean, look at the whole man versus bear thing that came out about 1.5 years ago with, you know, a woman, what would you choose? Running into a man in the woods or running into a bear? And honestly, man, as a man, I would take my chances running into a human being than running into a bear at any time. Because
I mean, if anybody asks me, they know what I'm going to say. So
a Yeti. But anyway.
Oh, you don't actually. There's a joke. I like really hairy men, So maybe I would like a bear. No, I'm kidding. Depends how hairy the man was. Are we talking like bear level hair? Is it like a man bear hybrid? Is that a possibility, you know?
Man, bear, pig. Man, bear, pig from South Park. That's what's gonna be.
Oh, no, not pig.
Man, bear, pig, yes. But
I can say something about that. It's really not PC.
But these are the psyops, guys. This is what they do. This is how they divide the public even further. This is Don just said the best comment, but this is how they divide the people further, and this is what they do to distract people from really important things that are going on. And they said, and honestly, guys, all the psyops are a loose harvest. That's exactly what they are. Because I mean, look at the negative emotions that are conjured from all of this. They know they know the playing field of the left and the right. They're going like, hey, we're going to do something that bolsters the right, but then pisses off the left to get this culmination of toxic negative energy to kind of manifest this fucked up reality we're really trying to bring forth into the existence. So like that's why, guys. It's like, go ahead. Were you say, Kirsten? Go ahead. I'm done. Yeah.
No,
hey, Kirsten, talk before you start again. Sorry.
You touched on a really important thing, and that's the emotion. And when you're watching this shit and you feel your emotions starting to come up, that's a real clue. Is that they're trying?
Oh no, the suspense. Good.
Yeah, I know. Okay. What's happening here is
you're back. Don't worry, you're back.
Trying to. Oh, good. I was like, oh no. Okay. What's happening is that they're trying to get your emotions up, as you said, Stephen. It's a loosh farm, so they want all these people going. I'm so outraged. And if you start feeling like that, turn it off. Turn it the fuck off, and do some nostril breathing. That's all.
That's good. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Perfectly put. And they know the things we like to argue about. And I find like bodies, relationships, how we should live our lives, like very basic things. They really like, especially around like relationships, sexuality, man, women. They know we're gonna fight. They know you're gonna get a ton of different flavors because it's such a nuanced area to consider things. That like it's could blow. I have to catch myself sometimes because I see things. I go to say something. No. This is just an attention trap because it's just an endless cycle of arguing where we have too much to deal with the masculine, feminine, and even natural beauty and what that even is before we could even have the discussion. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of people that don't even really know the answer having arguments, and that's exactly what they want because of the loosh farming. So our last video. It's just going to be.
Can I just say before you go on, Dyanna? Sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
Can I? Spin just said we should start our own psyop, and I think it should be that Donald Trump got a mangina.
I always, yeah.
Oh, Greg's got a mangina. So, all right.
Yeah, the Jane Bailey's for Monsieur. No, sorry, go on.
No, we should make.
Have
a
you ever
bunch
gone
of
to a club where
psyops,
people
like
wee on
ones.
each other? Sorry, I had to throw that out there. Oh my goodness! All right,
Sorry,
last clip,
Dyanna.
I'm
Go
sorry.
on. We took
No
a dark
worries.
turn then.
No, this one is and you'll see and watch to the end. So this is. Look what it says. JFK just said the conspiracy theorists were right all along. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not seeing anywhere where it says this story is AI. True, real story, true journalism. Together we make an impact. Okay, now play and watch this.
Much. Thank you for those kind words. Mark Wayne, thank you to Jim O'Neill, to Tom Jodsnek, to Marty McGarry, and to Wendy as well. Thank you for that, for sharing your story. It's with a heavy heart that I'm announcing that the conspiracy theorists were right again. COVID mRNA vaccines caused a litany of injuries, including but not limited to turbo cancer, heart failure, extreme blood clotting, and perhaps gayness. That's a chicken and egg problem that we're still investigating. The implications are substantial, and there's no easy way to say this. Anthony Fauci is a goblin. And if you weren't gay prior to taking the vaccine, there's a massive chance that your sudden desire to binge the Bravo channel and watch Tim Walz rallies isn't an accident.
Oh my God! But tongue in cheek though. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah. So that's definitely causes gayness. That set me off the edge.
I know it's so I don't understand. I saw two people posting it as true though. I saw two people trying to post it like it's a true clip, unless it's extreme irony and it went over my head. That's why I showed like what it was saying ahead of time. Did I miss something there? Am I like missing where they announced it was fake? Because it is hilarious. And as a hilarious video, that has lots of merit. But there's two people separately posting it like it was a real video.
Oh man.
They've not watched it properly, have they? They've obviously fucking on crack or something. They've had a crack pipe and gone, this is really said this. Frogs are all going gay, everybody's gay. Like, that's not what happens. Come on now. Pipe down. Sorry.
Well, but Fauci is a goblin, to be fair.
Fauci's definitely a goblin. Fauci, honestly, man, if there's anybody who, and I don't know if you guys know what this is, and I know this might not be the most spiritual thing to say, but ever since I saw that he tortured beagle puppies, I am going to say this. If there's anybody who deserves the death of scaphism, it's Dr. Fauci. And if you don't know what scaphism is, it's where they lock you up in a wooden coffin and they feed you milk and honey. So you have basically loose bowel movements, and they send you out to float in the water in the very hot sun. And what happens is it starts attracting all of these insects and parasites that basically start to eat you alive. It's a very painful process. But I would not say anybody in the world, I would not say I would not say anybody in the world is deserving of this, but Dr. Fauci is. So absolutely. But I think we talked about this before, guys. I've even made a post on this too. A lot of what you're seeing on the internet's not real. And this is actually a really good discernment talk, because I even saw this. So I saw a whole clip of this, I guess you could say, this encounter between these two individuals. It was a political encounter, and what I saw about a week after was somebody took the clip, made reels out of it, and completely flipped what was actually going on in the full clip to elicit an emotional response out of people. So this is something I've been seeing a lot of lately. Yes. So we're quite literally at a point where you can't trust any reel that involves any kind of like real life video or something that happened in real life, because somebody could be spinning the narrative to cause an emotional response. As far as this being a real video, I at the time don't think it is, albeit it's very fucking funny.
No, you can tell it's AI.
Yeah, it's very funny. But it was tongue in cheek funny too, because all four of us have had conversations on weird things that happen to people after the jab, and we do think that, I at least personally think that the jab kind of amplifies that mind virus that he was speaking of. Now, I'm not saying,
yeah, but the problem is, where are they coming? Because I agree with that narrative being spread, but say it like this is what JFK or RFK should be saying. But the problem is when they say it's true and then it's obviously not, it makes all of us look like idiots. So then outside people could point over here and be like, look at what these losers are making up because of these people. And then that's where, like you say, Stephen, about these people that are planted. And they're here to like give us some true stuff, but really it's actually to spin us into and this just seems like that, because I don't know these accounts enough to know if it's irony, but it looked like they were saying it's true, and then that's when you make us look bad, because it's super true. I actually agree with everything they're saying. They're being dramatic about it with the Bravo channel, but I agree, like these toxins, because they throw off our hormones, right? So it's a logical conclusion.
Yes, absolutely. Go on, Kirsten.
No, I just said I agree. Take it, Sam. Go.
Oh, yeah, okay. Did you just call me Naked Sam?
Naked Sam. No, I did not.
We were doing the alchemist with Dyanna, and she was like, she said Sarah. And I was like, she was looking at me, I was like, Sarah, and I got really confused. Sorry, I think I probably need to have my ears cleaned or something. I thought you said Naked Sam, and I was like, I'm really not fucking naked. You would be very upset.
Or is it selective hearing?
Yeah.
I said, take it.
When it comes to you, Stephen, yeah, sometimes you tune you out, yeah. I'm kidding.
No, I was encouraging you to speak, Sam. I said,
no,
I said take T-A-K-E-I-T, take it.
I mean, I don't take much encouraging. Yeah. I mean, I take encouraging in direction, just not to shut up, really. I mean, I'm taking the piss out of Steve, but I'm probably worse than him, to be fair.
I'm used to it by now. What are you talking about? I expect it. If we were to sit down and it didn't happen, I'd be concerned. Let's just put it that way.
You'd be sad. You'd be like, she's not abused me once. What's going on? No, but going back to the clip, I'll rein it in now and behave. Yeah, so I think the big thing is that you were saying, Dyanna, where's people's fucking discernment? Like, come on, you watch that. If he actually said that, it was either on a comedy clip or it's AI. Let's be honest. He's not going to go and call people gay, is he? He's not going to go about the Bravo channel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't looking at his fingers, but he might have had 10 toes. Who the fuck knows?
You can't tell people.
10 fingers, 10, you know, 10 on each hand.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is it the mouth that gives it away?
The mouth. It's always the mouth. You'll see the teeth don't always separate, and the lips will start to have double, like, mirrory, ghosty lips, and you'll just know, like, it'll be weird. Like, you will see the CGI in the mouth. It's the most obvious way to tell. But sorry, continue.
No, that's good. I didn't realize that. I will keep well, this is the thing. We need to know these tips and tricks, don't we? I mean, there will come a point, I'm pretty sure, where you won't be able to know the real from the fake. It's Steve Dougie. Which one's this?
This is Luna.
Oh,
she's
hello, Luna.
Luna,
Luna, do you watch the Bravo channel?
no, she has nothing to do with stuff like that.
Yeah, so just going back to my original point, it's to muddy the waters, and this is the thing. Going back to the X and social media. You know, we've spoke about this before. I mean, we're touting it as a Luna. We're touting it as a news, and it's a bit of a parody news thing. We're discussing what's going on in social affairs, but really, this is where people are getting their news now. They are getting their information online. It's a credible source, or that's what they're trying to water down. So there's so much information out there, people are becoming so overwhelmed and they just don't know what to think. And it's almost like they want to funnel people back into the mainstream narrative because it's like, oh, well, the government's saying it, so at least it's not AI. Or at least it's not, a lie. Or, I mean, that is a lie, really, isn't it? But do you know what I mean? They're going to want somewhere to go that they can trust. And I think it's all done by design. And I think this is the problem that we've got with the fact that X is paid now. They're, like what you were saying, Diana, they're pushing narratives that are going to get them engagement. Yeah, like the spicing of that video. Where's people's morality? Where's the moral compass? Because it's like, what are you doing? There's an energetic consequence to that. There's a karmic consequence to that. Whatever you're putting out, this is what people don't realize about social media. When you make a post and people are interacting with it, you're actually, on some level, forming a contractual agreement with them. Because whatever you're giving them, they're going to go and take that away. It might not be a strong one, but you're still doing it. And this is why you need to be in truth. You need to be in your own truth. Because at the end of the day, it's cause and effect. There's always going to be a repercussion. There's always going to be some blowback. You might not even realize it. But this is the thing. People need to be more energetically aware. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it with that.
No, that's perfect, because that's exactly it. Yeah, you can take it, Kirsten.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, I think it comes back to trusting your own authority and your own sovereignty, because the thing is, we can't look to any authority, and probably never could, to get the real truth. And that's where you have to learn your own discernment, and you have to trust your own authority. And there are a lot of ways to do that. If you just put your thumbs on your heart space and just ask your heart, how does this sound to you? Because your heart is really one of the key tools for discernment. So, and people really need to learn that. We need, the human race as a whole needs to stop looking up here for some authority that's going to tell them this is true and this is not true, and I'm going to fix it, and y'all just do your thing and just relax, go watch your TV, you're fine. We're taking care of all of this. It's just not going to fly if you actually want to have a free life, if you actually want to have a life where you can decide how that life goes. And so it's time for us to step up. It's time for us to grow up and say, okay, I'm going to be the adult here. I don't need this big adult over here. I don't need this government being my mommy or my daddy. I'm going to decide.
No, I completely agree, and it's getting to a point where, and I mean, we've been talking. It seems you have to, before you watch anything or you intake anything, and we were talking about this a little bit at the beginning of the show with another topic. You have to literally walk into it with the awareness that, okay, what I'm about to watch is spiritual warfare. It could be trying to program me. It could be throwing propaganda in my face. It could be completely fake and gay, but I'm walking into this with this awareness that everything that I watch could be spiritual warfare, trying to program me, throwing propaganda at me, or be absolutely fake and gay. So this is honestly, this is the mentality we need to have when we see things at this point in time. I mean, quite literally, it sucks I have to say that. Don't get me wrong. You know, it'd be nice to be able to watch something, or maybe look at a bit of information or try to learn about something that didn't have all of that in it. But this is the playing field we're on, and like we've said this whole show, awareness is key. So now you have to have awareness that anything that you could intake as far as content wise that is involved in the mainstream false matrix reality is going to be spiritual warfare. It's going to be programming you. It's going to be propaganda, and it could absolutely be fake and gay. So that's all I have to say about it, honestly.
Agreed.
I'm sorry.
Oh my God, that's so
weird. Oh, she's a cutie, Sam. She's a lab. Look at her.
Oh, that's so funny. But yeah, no, I completely agree with what everyone said, and that's exactly it. And that we just have to be it, and everybody just has to be it, because it's the age of Aquarius, and we just be, and we just learn, and we just know, and we just grow, because that's it. And we're in that stage, and we're the pilgrims of this world, and we're returning to coolness, Sam. It's like, we did want the show to be a comedy, so that's amazing.
Well, I tried to make it as comical as possible. And guys, if you want to know, we are going to be having some more space weather occurring here later in the month. So be prepared for a couple of the emotional wreck days on the Ascension Symptom Forecast. So just a heads up.
And laughter is the biggest cure. And hopefully we'll bring you more things with laughter involved. But I want to thank all our audience for being here today for this second episode of the Spiritual News. And hopefully we'll keep them going. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Do we want to go around with some closing thoughts? Let's start with Stephen.
Well, guys, one thing's for sure. Whether it's all fake and gay or real and hetero, the number one thing that we need to hold in our awareness at this time is we are constantly being bombarded with mental, emotional, and spiritual warfare from every single angle. So walk through your day with this awareness. Anything you intake, anything you see on the false matrix mainstream media, anything you see on the internet, anything you see on X, Facebook, YouTube, anything. All right, guys, remember, it could be spiritual warfare, programming, propaganda, or fake. So when it comes to actually what's real, let's talk about what's real. You're real. The divine spark within you is real. Choices are real. Focus, where you put your focus and your energy, is real. So my biggest thing I want to leave with everybody is let's all together stop putting focus and energy, the world's greatest currency at this time, into the false matrix reality, and let's start putting it into the new earth frequency. That's where it belongs, ultimately. And that's really all I got.
Beautifully put. And Kirsten, what are your final thoughts?
Well, I agree with Stephen. And, take some time. Self-care is so important. We are, as Stephen pointed out, we are being bombarded with all sorts of energy. And if these past weeks have felt really whacked and crazy to you, hey, join the club. But the thing is, bring it back to center. The biggest rabbit hole, the most important rabbit hole, is the one within yourself. So really look within. Turn this shit up. If you're getting upset, whatever, turn it off. Go outside. Going outside is really one of the keys to coming back to what's real. What's real? Nature. Nature is real. Or as real as it can be in this illusion that we call reality. Anyway, but that's another story. And thank you all for watching too.
I was mic'd. Sam, what are your final thoughts?
If you get a dog, make sure that you train them really well, because if not, they'll snug you on air. That's about it.
Perfectly put. No, this was a great show. This was beautiful. And thank you so much, everybody, for being here. We're going to stay news sovereign. We're going to do research. We're going to utilize my education. Yeah. All right. This was amazing. Thanks for being here. And we'll see you all again next time. Goodbye for now.